Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the Denver Broncos 7-round mock draft post the combine and post Russell Wilson trade. As the Broncos, obviously, as we all know, have traded for Russell Wilson. So we're going to be doing this with the updated picks, of course, and we're going to be plugging them into the lineup. At the end, I'm going to have a kind of like a projected roster of both offense and defense after the mock draft. And then I'm not predicting any outside free agency signings from other teams. I'm going to do a couple of potential re-signings we could do, but no signings outside the team. And this isn't my off-season prediction. I'll have one coming out in a couple days before, obviously, Monday, when we start getting all the news of where free agents are signing. So, yeah, I'll be doing that towards the end of the week, but right now this is just a Broncos 7-round mock draft post Russell Wilson trade, post combine. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's get into this. I want to remind you that Jesus is king. I pray that you give your life to him. He's got a plan and a purpose for you, and I just truly hope that you believe that. I believe that with my whole heart, and I just hope you do as well, because if you truly believe that Jesus died on the cross for your sins and he rose from the dead 3 days later, if you truly believe he died on the cross for your sins and took your punishment, then you'll go to heaven and spend eternity with Jesus. And I just pray that you really do believe in Jesus, because he is our salvation and the only way to spend eternity in heaven with God. So I just pray, and I truly hope that you do believe that. I believe that. It's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. And with that being said, let's jump into the mock. So, first things first. Here were the picks that we had in the draft before acquiring Russell Wilson. And we just got some breaking news. Not for the Broncos, but the Titans have just signed Harold Landry to a 5-year, $87.5 million extension. So there we go. Harold Landry is not going to be testing free agency like we all thought after they didn't franchise tag him. But yeah, that's just some breaking news. Okay, but anyway, this is what the picks looked like before we traded for Russell Wilson. We had our first round pick at 9th overall, second round pick, 40th overall, our second round pick, which was 64th overall. Then we had 2 third-round picks, a 4th round pick, 2 fifths, and a 7th round pick. Now, after we traded for Russell Wilson, here is what our updated picks look like. Our first round pick, we traded for Russ, so we don't have that anymore. Our second round pick, 40th overall, we traded for us, so we don't have that one. The second round pick, so we traded 2 firsts, 2 seconds. The other first and the second are from next year's draft. So we still currently have our second round pick that we got from the Von Miller trade via the Rams. We have both of our third round picks. We have a 4th round pick, and we picked up an additional 4th round pick from the Russell Wilson trade. We also lost our 5th round for the trade for Russ. We still have one more 5th round and a 7th round. So in total, we have 1 second, 2 thirds, 2 fourths, a 5th, and a 7th. So 7 draft picks this season, and we still got a lot of picks, high picks that we can definitely do something with picking up Russell Wilson. So let's jump into this one. And with the 64th pick in the second round, this might be a controversial pick, but with the 64th pick, I have us selecting Trey McBride, tight end out of Colorado State. Now, if you're saying to yourself, tight end isn't our biggest need, you're right. There are other needs that we could go. But to me, when I think about the offense, this offense could definitely use and utilize multiple tight ends. And when you think we had that dynamic with Noah Fant and Albert Okwuegbunam, we don't have Fant anymore. We have Albert Okwuegbunam, who I think could be a great tight end. He's that athletic type of tight end that we had in Noah Fant. But to me, Eric Sauber, he is more of a blocking tight end. Same thing with Andrew Beck. We use him as a fullback. So I think picking up Trey McBride, a local guy out of Colorado State, who carried that Colorado State offense, and using him as a second tight end, I think could be beneficial for the offense and really provide another weapon for Russell Wilson and Hackett in that offense. And like I said, he did everything for that Colorado State offense. He had 164 receptions for 2,100 yards. He averaged about 12.8 yards per play, and he scored 10 touchdowns. He had a very solid combine, and I think now that we don't have a quarterback need, We could obviously go edge rusher here. We could go offensive tackle here. Offensive tackles, though, at this spot, there weren't really many worthy of going this high. Could have gone edge, could have gone linebacker, but I'm going Trey McBride out of Colorado State. I know that a lot of people could disagree with me with that, but I like Trey McBride, and I would not mind if we picked him up here. In the third round, I have us selecting Josh Paschal, edge rusher out of Kentucky. I do think we should add another edge to the group, even if we sign Von Miller back in free agency, even if we go after an Emmanuel Ogbah or a Chandler Jones. I think Joshua Paschal, we should go with a nice young edge rusher, and I like Josh Paschal out of Kentucky. Another guy who had a solid combine. He had 72 total tackles, 65 assist tackles, 137 total tackles, 13 sacks, and interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and he recovered one of those fumbles. So yeah, I like Josh Paschal here with our first third round pick. And with our second third round pick, I have us selecting Abraham Lucas, offensive tackle out of Washington State. Now, remember back to my first few mock drafts when I said that George Paton wanted to go and pick up an offensive tackle with a premium pick in the first, second, or third. So we could do that in the second. At that position, though, there were no premium offensive tackles that I liked at the value of 64. So I have us picking one up still in the third round with the last pick in the third round, Abraham Lucas out of Washington State. Now, Lucas fills a right tackle void, not having someone like a Bobby Massey or an old veteran in there that's rotating every year. We had DeMar Dotson, Elijah Wilkinson, Bobby Massey, Cam Fleming this season. So Abraham Lucas really provides that right tackle that can start right away for the Broncos. It fills the gap at right tackle. I do believe he can play either left or right tackle if needed to. And at the combine, he ran a 4.92 40-yard dash. He benched 24 reps. He had a 27-inch vertical jump, and he had an 8'11" broad jump. Very solid combine. Would not mind picking him up here in the third round. I think he could even go higher than this pick, but he fell to us at 96, so I have us picking up Abraham Lucas here. In the fourth round, we're picking up one of my favorite cornerbacks, not named Derek Stingley, not an Ahmed Gardner, not an Alontae Taylor, but Mykael Wright out of Oregon is one of my favorite prospects. I think we should add another cornerback to this group. If we don't go after a J.C. Jackson in free agency or don't go after a cornerback in free agency, I think we definitely should pick one up in the draft here. But I don't know where we would pick one up. Could be in the second, could be in the third. To me, the fourth seems like an ideal position. We have Mykael Wright at Oregon had 80 solo tackles, 33 assist tackles, 113 total tackles, 2 interceptions. He's defended 17 passes, and he has 1 forced fumble. Mykael Wright is the fourth round at 107 for the Broncos here. In the fifth round, I have the Broncos. Or actually, is this still the fourth? I think it is a fourth because we picked up an additional fourth round pick. Let me go change this real quick. So yes, in the fourth round with that additional fourth round pick that we picked up from the Seahawks and the Russell Wilson trade, we select Jesse Luketa, linebacker out of Penn State. We should most likely address linebacker at some point in the draft because when we look at our linebacker core, there are a ton of guys that are going to be free agents. Josie Jewell, Alexander Johnson, Kenny Young, Jonas Griffith, Natrez Patrick, and Micah Kaiser are all free agents. Now, obviously, we can't bring them all back. We can bring back a couple. Obviously, Baron Browning and Justin Sternad are on the roster. I'd say we'd most likely bring back 2, maybe 3 guys back, but also we probably should draft a guy, maybe even pick up someone in free agency. And Jesse Luketa out of Penn State, I really like, a very solid player for the Nittany Lions. 85 solo tackles, 66 assist tackles, 105 total tackles. He got half a sack, 1 interception, 6 passes defended, and a touchdown. So, yeah, to me, I love the value of Jesse Luketa at pick 113, and he's the pick that I have for the Broncos here. In the fifth round, pick 151, I have the Broncos selecting John Ridgeway, defensive tackle out of Arkansas. Ridgeway is someone who I think should develop and can develop. Not necessarily start right away, but someone who can be on the roster, learn from a veteran, and improve his skill because he only started 1 year at Arkansas, but when he did, he had 11 solo tackles, 28 assist tackles, 39 total tackles, and 2 sacks. And like I said, he's someone who I could eventually see starting at defensive tackle, but shouldn't be right away, and is more of a developmental offensive tackle. And finally, in the 7th round, now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if he'll be here. I don't know, because he ran that fast 40-yard dash at the combine, and, obviously I think his skills at wide receiver are a little raw, but because of his speed, I think he might be taken a little bit earlier. But I have at 247 the Broncos selecting Tyquan Thornton, wide receiver out of Baylor. Now, is he going to be used as a wide receiver in our offense? No, probably not. But the reason I picked him up is because I don't know if we'll bring back Deontay Spencer as returner, and Tyquan Thornton, with his speed and with that burst, I think would be a perfect returner for the Broncos here in the 7th round. He had 143 receptions, 2,242 yards, 15.7 yards in average, and 19 touchdowns. But to me, I see more as that special teams role and someone who will return kicks, return punts, can play on special teams. He can come in if you need him. If you want that speedster like another KJ Hamler, I think this would be perfect. And like I said, he probably will go earlier because of his speed. I do think he's raw as a prospect, though, so I like him valued here in the 7th. But with that speed, he could go earlier. I just like him as a return man, and if he's available for there, I'd love it, especially if we don't bring back Deontay Spencer. We need something to do at returner. It could be KJ Hamler, could be Bryce Callahan if we bring him back, but yeah, I have Tyquan Thornton here for the from Baylor, coming to the Broncos. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our starting offense and defense here with the draft. So here is what the starting offense would look like. Let's start on the offensive line. At left tackle, we would have Garrett Bowles, and I would guess Calvin Anderson would be his backup. Left guard, I have Dalton Reisner backed up by Natani Moody. At center, I have Lloyd Cushenberry backed up by Austin Schlottman. At right guard, a potential surprise, but I have Quinn Miners. I really like Miners. I think he's a great run blocker. Needs to develop more in the pass game, so I could see Glasgow starting over him. But I see Quinn Miners as the younger guy who they want to get more experience. But again, wouldn't be shocked if Graham Glasgow was the starter. And at right tackle, I have Abraham Lucas starting over Bobby Massey. Again, Bobby Massey could definitely start here, but I think the young guy in Abraham Lucas might be given the shot. Might have a camp battle, but Abraham Lucas wins it out. And that's my projection right there for right tackle. Now, of course, let's go to the quarterback position where we just picked up our new franchise quarterback for the next little while, Russell Wilson. Obviously, he's going to be the starter after the trade. He's going to be the man under center to lead us back into the playoffs and hopefully for another Super Bowl. And then backing him up is someone who is a free agent, but I have us going with Brett Rippon. I think he's a solid backup. He's a very smart quarterback, can read the defense, knows where to throw the ball, just doesn't have that elite arm strength you'd like to see out of an NFL quarterback. But I think a decent backup. Hopefully we don't need a player backup, but if we do, I do like Brett Rippon as a backup. We could go sign someone else, but I have us re-signing Brett Rippon as the backup. Let's go to the receivers now. We kept the receiving core intact after this trade, which I'm really surprised. For those of you who don't know, Jerry Jeudy's my favorite player, and I thought for sure he might be shipped out to Seattle in this trade, but thankfully he wasn't. And here's what the receiving core looks like. On the outside, I have Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick starting, and I have Jerry Jeudy in the slot. I like Jeudy in the slot. He's got the speed. He's got that route running. He's going to be a mismatch on the slot if someone needs to cover him like an undersized corner, potentially a linebacker. I love that spot for Jerry Jeudy in the slot. Then in the backups, that's where it's hard to kind of guess where they're going to be. I'd guess KJ Hamler is going to be in the slot as well as a potential the fourth wide receiver. If we're running a 4-wide set, I'd guess KJ Hamler would be the fourth one. I have Seth Williams on the outside because he's more that big-bodied receiver who can go up and catch the ball. Same thing with a Tyree Cleveland, although I could see him playing in the slot. For now, I have him playing on the outside. Kendall Hinton I have playing on the outside. I thought he was very solid for us last season. And then Tyquan Thornton I have in the slot. If he comes in, he'll most likely be a slot guy with the speed, but most likely used as a returner for the Broncos. And I should mention that special teams, I'm just going to have the same. Jacob Bobbinmore as the long snapper, Sam Martin as the punter, and Brandon McManus as our kicker. Then we go into the backfield. I have having Javonte Williams as the starter and Melvin Gordon as the backup. Technically, I have it more as a 1A, 1B type of thing. But I do think Melvin Gordon, if we bring him back, would be a nasty duo. Reunite him with his Wisconsin brother and Russell Wilson. Javonte Williams I have as a starter. Melvin Gordon as the backup, 1A, 1B. I would like to see Javonte get more carries, though. Younger back, I want to see what he can do, get that experience. And then Mike Boone as the third string, just in case something happens. But kind of feel bad for Mike Boone. Thought he was going to take over this season as the backup, but nah. He will be the third string yet again. And then for the tight end, obviously we have Albert Okwuegbunam, that more of a speed, athletic tight end. Trey McBride, who is someone who can definitely make plays, but he can also block. I love Trey McBride. Would love if he comes to the Broncos. And then Eric Sauber, I have as that blocking tight end. When if you're running and you need a blocking tight end, you put in Eric Sauber. I also think Trey McBride can block as well if you need him to. And then Andrew Beck, you have someone who could play tight end, but to me, he's our fullback, so that's why I have him listed there as the fullback. And this is the starting offense. So let me know what you think. But yeah, this is the starting offense after the draft. Let's see. We have Tyquan Thornton, Abraham Lucas, and I believe those are the only Trey McBride. Those are the only 3 rookies on offense here. Let's go ahead and move over to the defense. So for the defense, let's start with the defensive line. At defensive tackle, Mike Purcell, great run stopper. He's getting up there in age, so I don't know how much longer he'll be with the team, but I have him as our starting defensive tackle this season. I have also Deshaun Williams as the backup, bringing him back. And then I have John Ridgeway as the third string, so we can learn under Mike Purcell and Deshaun Williams. Most likely won't start this season, but a good development for the rookie there. At right defensive end, I have Draymond Jones, backed up by Shamar Stephen. Draymond Jones is officially taken over for Shelby Harris here after he was traded to Seattle today. And then Shamar Stephen is someone who I like. George Payton brought over from Minnesota. So I have him as the backup here being re-signed. And finally, this season, McTelvin Agim starts at left defensive end, a third-round pick from 2020. Finally gets his time to start. And then I have Marquise Spencer, our 7th rounder from 2021, backing him up. Going to the corners. Now, you probably see someone on here, I thought you weren't going to predict anything. We'll get to him in a minute. But at the corners, I have Surtain as obviously our cornerback 1, Ronald Darby as our cornerback 2, Bryce Callahan as our CB3 or slot corner. But I would watch that, because if we don't bring him back, a name that I would look out for would be Desmond King. But right now I just have Bryce Callahan because I'm not signing anybody, predicting any signings except for one who you obviously see. And then I have Mikael Wright, the rookie, as the third string on the left side. And then Michael Ojemudia, who really played solid at the end of last season, especially that last game. And then Nate Hairston, I really like as a depth corner, who I have backing him up right there. Let's move to inside linebackers now. I have Josie Jewell, him coming back, and then Kenny Young. I like that pairing of Kenny Young and Josie Jewell, that run stopper, that physical one, and then Kenny Young more as the coverage guy. Then you have Jonas Griffith, who I thought played really solid at the end of the last season. He played solid on special teams, and then when asked to play linebacker, he played really solid for the Broncos. Baron Browning, the rookie last year, played amazing in my opinion. He's more of that pass rushing linebacker who's learning to develop in coverage, and I do want to see if he can potentially get more snaps, potentially start. I don't know about that. Potentially could, but maybe. Then Jesse Luketa, the rookie out of Penn State. Don't know how much playing time he'll see. And then Justin Sternad, who really struggled in his first season. Technically, he wasn't a rookie, but he was hurt his rookie season. So it was his first year playing in the NFL. And now let's go on over to the outside linebackers. Bradley Chubb starting at right outside linebacker. And I have Von Miller starting at left outside linebacker. He's made it clear that he wants to come back to Denver via his Instagram post, his tweets. Man, that would be awesome. Picking up a second and a third. using those picks in the draft and then getting Von Miller back. That would be crazy. So I have him starting at left outside linebacker. Then I have Jonathan Cooper, a 7th round rookie who played a lot better than a 7th round status. Malik Reed, who was very solid for us last season as well. Of course, undrafted free agent a little while back out of Nevada. Andre Mintz, another undrafted free agent last year out of Vanderbilt. And then the rookie Joshua Paschal coming in here as well, adding to that outside linebacker group. Then the safeties, I have Justin Simmons starting at free safety, obviously. Caden Stearns, who played really solid last season, even though he didn't get a ton of snaps, but when he came in replacement of Kareem Jackson because of his injuries, he played really solid. So I have Stearns as the starting strong safety. Then I have Jamar Johnson backing up Justin Simmons, another guy who was a rookie last year, but really didn't suit up. He was a healthy scratch for most of the games last season. And then backing up Caden Stearns was his former Texas teammate and PJ Locke. And that is who I have starting on offense and defense for the Broncos. Let me know your thoughts. And, yeah, I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.